In Hebrew, the President of Israel is called the Nasi, a term that originally referred to the leader of the ancient Jewish National Council. Modern Israel continues to use this title, symbolizing the continuity between the modern Jewish state and its ancient predecessor. The presidency carries no real executive power and is primarily an honorary and ceremonial position. This arrangement was the result of the careful planning of David Ben-Gurion, who intended to prevent the first president, Chaim Weizmann, from gaining excessive political power. Weizmann had long devoted himself to the Zionist cause and held significant influence among Jews, but he and Ben-Gurion fundamentally disagreed on many political issues. Naturally, Ben-Gurion did not wish to share the country's highest authority with him. On November 9, 1952, the 78-year-old President Weizmann passed away due to illness. Shortly after, Prime Minister Ben-Gurion instructed the Israeli ambassador to the U.S., Abba Eban, to formally inform the renowned scientist Albert Einstein that he was being considered as a candidate for Israel's second president. Although largely ceremonial, the presidency still represents the nation and its people, and thus must be entrusted to someone worthy of such responsibility. Einstein, as one of the greatest scientists of the 20th century, a Jew, and a committed supporter of Zionism, was an obvious choice. However, after careful consideration, Einstein politely declined the invitation. He explained that he had ongoing scientific work at the Institute for Advanced Study in Princeton and elsewhere, and that he lacked the natural aptitude and experience to deal properly with people and to exercise official functions. Einstein stated that, while deeply honored by the proposal, he was not the right person for the role. He also emphasized that since recognizing the precarious status of Jews among the nations of the world, his connection to the Jewish people had become the strongest bond in his life. Einstein was born in 1879 in the small German town of Ulm on the Danube River. His parents were secular Jews who valued reason, and he received little Jewish education as a child, knowing very little about religious rituals. Although he did not practice Judaism or observe religious customs as an adult, he consistently identified as a Jew and took pride in his heritage. Einstein was not only a brilliant scientist, but also deeply engaged with Jewish issues, publishing articles on Zionism and Palestine. He believed that the value of Jewish tradition lay not in rituals or holidays, but in its moral and ethical principles. In one article, he wrote, "The pursuit of knowledge for its own sake, an almost fanatical love of justice, and a yearning for independent thought, these are the hallmarks of Jewish tradition. I am profoundly grateful to be part of this tradition." Einstein's support for Zionism most clearly reflected his feelings toward the Jewish people. In 1919, representatives of German Zionist organizations frequently visited him to discuss related issues. This deepened his understanding of the movement and gradually drew him into participation. In 1921, at the age of 42, shortly after receiving the Nobel Prize in Physics, Einstein formally embraced Zionist ideals. That same year, he accepted an invitation from Zionist leader Chaim Weizmann to travel to the United States to fundraise for Jewish communities in Palestine and to promote the establishment of a Jewish university in Jerusalem. Due to his achievements and fame, Einstein's support brought considerable attention to what had previously been a marginal political movement in both Europe and the United States. Although Einstein considered himself a cosmopolitan rather than a nationalist, his identification with the Jewish people deepened in the early 20th century in response to the rise of anti-Semitism in German society. In 1920, after his theory of relativity gained acceptance within the academic community, it faced malicious attacks solely because he was Jewish. Some claimed relativity was a Jewish conspiracy, or even a plot by Jewish communists. In a 1925 letter, Einstein recalled that it was only 15 years after arriving in Germany that he truly realized he was Jewish, a realization prompted more by discrimination and ridicule from non-Jews than by his own community. Confronted with such prejudice, narrow-mindedness, and brutality, he could no longer remain indifferent. It was in this context that he became a Zionist, adopting a unique form of nationalism rooted in humanism. In the 1920s and 1930s, Einstein was both a pacifist humanitarian and an active Zionist, publicly advocating for the equality of German Jews and opposing discrimination and oppression. With the rise of the Nazis and increasing persecution of Jews, Einstein left Germany in 1933 to teach at Princeton University in the United States, continuing his active involvement in Zionist causes. Einstein's vision of Zionism differed from that of many contemporaries. Influenced by the Russian cultural Zionist philosopher Chaim, he believed that establishing a Jewish homeland in Palestine should primarily provide a spiritual and cultural center to preserve Jewish traditions and offer refuge for persecuted Jews, rather than create a conventional political state with borders and an army. Nevertheless, he expressed willingness to take on responsibilities when circumstances demanded. When Israel declared independence in 1948, he put aside his earlier reservations about statehood and warmly congratulated the new nation. Einstein also paid close attention to the Arab issue arising from the creation of a Jewish state. In 1929, conflicts erupted between Arabs and Jewish settlers in Palestine, resulting in 133 Jewish deaths and hundreds of injuries. Einstein wrote that Jews could not succeed without the consent and cooperation of the Arabs. He advocated for honest and tolerant coexistence with Arab neighbors, a position that drew criticism from right-wing and religious Zionists. Einstein's support for Zionism was not limited to words. He actively engaged in fundraising, advocacy, and educational projects from 1921 until his death in 1955. He supported the construction and development of the Hebrew University of Jerusalem, frequently served on its board, and contributed substantial funding. It was precisely because of these efforts and his international stature that Ben-Gurion and the Israeli government invited him to serve as the second president in 1952. After Einstein formally declined, the Knesset ultimately nominated veteran labor leader and one of the founders of the Israeli Labor Party, Yitzhak Ben-Zvi, who became Israel's second president.